I'm Susan Euler. In this program, we're going to take a look at Stonehenge, which is by far my favorite ancient monument. When my godmother was taking a trip to England, she said, "Susan, what do you want me to see for you?" And I immediately answered, "Stonehenge." And she said, "Stonehenge? Well, that's just a pile of old rocks." Now, I was maybe 8, 9 years old at the time, but I've never forgotten it, because I knew then, just as I know now, that Stonehenge is a lot more than a pile of old rocks. It's one of the most interesting monuments in the world. Most people can recognize Stonehenge, but they may not know anything more about it. They know it's a big stone monument located somewhere in Britain. Maybe it was built by some ancient religious sect called the Druids. It's mysterious. The mysterious part is what usually gets discussed in television programs, many books, and newspaper articles. They focus on that. Well, is Stonehenge really so mysterious? In some ways it is. For one thing, the people who built Stonehenge were a pre-literate society, meaning they didn't have a written language. Therefore, we don't know anything about their culture from their own perspective, in their own words, the way we do with other societies, for example, ancient Egypt, which is a contemporary society to that of the builders of Stonehenge. In any event, because we don't know why Stonehenge was built, we don't know what it meant to the people who built it, it becomes more mysterious than perhaps it really should be. Over the past several hundred years, there has been a lot of archaeological information uncovered about Stonehenge. Scientific investigations began in the 18th century when antiquarian William Stukeley made the first attempt to date the monument based on his theory that the builders aligned Stonehenge with the magnetic North Pole. Although this theory turned out to be incorrect, it paved the way for further research. 200 years later, when radiocarbon dating was first used, in the late 1950s, early 1960s, Stonehenge was shown to have its earliest beginnings around the year 3100 BC, making the monument 5,000 years old. In addition, radiocarbon dating, as well as good old field archaeology, has shown that Stonehenge was used, changed, remodeled, and rearranged for the next 1,000+ years, until the huge stone monument we see today was finally erected. Then, sometime around 1500 BC, Stonehenge was abandoned. So what was happening in the world in 3100 BC, the year that Stonehenge was begun? Well, that was the beginning of the Bronze Age. Now, the Bronze Age is the first of the so-called three-age system. It was first developed in the early years of the 19th century by a Danish scholar by the name of C.J. Thomson, and he divided early human history into 3 stages. The first is the Stone Age, the second is the Bronze Age, and the third is the Iron Age. Now, this system is quite out of date because it doesn't work well with all societies, and it certainly doesn't work very well in classifying the society that built Stonehenge. The people who lived in England at the time Stonehenge was built are known today by the generic name of the Ancient Britons. Remember, they were a pre-literate society, so we don't know what they called themselves. In any event, although they were living during the Bronze Age, they really weren't a Bronze Age society in the way that Egypt and Mesopotamia were Bronze Age societies. The people who built Stonehenge, maybe until the very last years of the building process, were actually living a Neolithic or New Stone Age existence. Now, does this have anything to do with the monument? Yes and no. It certainly limited the technology they were able to use to erect the gigantic stones. But they were still very much products of that age, and the Bronze Age was the heyday of gigantic stone monuments. Look at ancient Egypt if you don't believe me. Everywhere in continental Europe, in Egypt, in Mesopotamia, and in Britain, people were putting up these giant stone monuments. And yes, the technology and styles were different, but for some reason, that was the sense of the Bronze Age. Build it big, build it in a permanent manner, and that meant stone. Although unique in design and difficulty of execution, Stonehenge is only one of several hundred gigantic stone circles, standing stones, and other stone monuments in Great Britain that were built by the same culture that built Stonehenge. In addition, across the English Channel in northern France, there are similar stone monuments from the same time period, showing that the culture that built Stonehenge was widespread. However, although there are other stone circles and large standing stones, none of these monuments uses dressed stone. That is, stones that have been smoothed and shaped, the way the stones of Stonehenge have been. Rather, all other stone circles use rough stones, just as they came out of the ground. And no other monument but Stonehenge is built using post-lintel construction. So, Stonehenge is very unique and obviously served a special purpose. And now we come to the question that everybody always asks. Why was Stonehenge built? Well, the short answer is we don't know. But we do have some very compelling theories. If you ask anyone today, they will probably tell you that Stonehenge was built as a way to track the risings and settings of the sun and the moon. This is not a new idea. As we've already seen, the ancient Romans believed that Stonehenge was a temple to the sun god Apollo. And this link between Stonehenge and the sky is still widely accepted. There's no question that the sun does rise over the heelstone, or at least close to the heelstone, on the morning of the summer solstice. And the sun's first rays do shine into the center of the monument between the horseshoe arrangement of uprights known as the Grand Trilithon. Now, while it's possible that this alignment is coincidental, evidence suggests that placing the heelstone at the point where the sun rises over the horizon at midsummer was actually part of the original design. In 1963, using what was then the latest technology, the room-sized IBM computer, Boston University astronomy professor Gerald Hawkins identified further alignments, including risings and settings of the sun, moon, and certain bright stars over Stonehenge. First in the journal Nature and then in his best-selling book, Stonehenge Decoded, Professor Hawkins concluded that Stonehenge must have been designed to be used as a giant computer. And this idea that Stonehenge was built by the original designers to act as a computer is still widely believed today. Well, scholars, however, no longer believe that Stonehenge was built as a giant computer for predicting eclipses and other solar and lunar phenomena. That was a really 20th century idea. Rather, today, the latest research seems to show that it was built as a monument to the dead. Professor Mike Parker Pearson, director of the Stonehenge Riverside Project, has found evidence that suggests that Stonehenge was used as a burial ground from its earliest beginnings in 3100 BC. This doesn't mean that the alignments with the moon and the sun are not there, however. Other Neolithic monuments built at the same time as Stonehenge, for example Newgrange in Ireland and Maes Howe on Orkney, both of which are tombs, are definitely aligned with the rising and setting sun at the winter solstice. The significance of this, of course, can never be precisely known, but scholars speculate that the sun's rays might have been seen as a passageway for the dead, allowing them to travel back and forth from the afterlife into the world of the living on that one special day. Could some of the celestial alignments at Stonehenge carry a similar meaning? It's an intriguing possibility and may help reconcile all the seemingly contradictory theories about why Stonehenge was built and how it was used. For the 10-Minute Professor, this is Susan Ray Euler. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure you watch our next program.